Welcome to the second part of Civilization 4 Let's Play with Japan, with the rise and falls of civilization. Here we have just taken over China and now focusing on building my economy so that I can last until potentially late 1900s. So that's going to be another 900 years or so, as it is now 1060 AD. Also have to start thinking about what I'm going to do when the Mongolians come around from the north, and ensuring stability and ensuring that I keep up with technology to make sure that I'm the first to finish the tech tree. Here, just micromanaging some workers to make sure that everything is nice and productive around that area. Building a lot of courthouses and markets and grocers at the moment to try and steadily improve that income to get the research above 70%. As you can see, as soon as I put it to 80%, it's on negative 18 a turn, so wonders like the spiral minaret would help. Minaret, I don't know how to pronounce that. Thinking about switching civics here, but I decided not to, not for a number of years. A couple of barbarian incursions in the north of China, but nothing unusual or extreme, nothing problematic, just a couple of horse archers. I've got all these soldiers from the war that had occurred against China to defend myself quite easily anyway. I decided to raise that city because it revolted and joined me, but I don't want that because that's going to be a city that flips to the Mongolians right now. As you can see, the Mongolians have just appeared up there. That city would have flipped and they would have been much closer to me than I would have liked. Fortunately, Beijing, or now Hokkien, as it is now called under the Japanese rule, does not flip to the Mongolians. And also, I've not instantly started off at war with Mongolia, though it is highly likely that they would declare war on you if you are in this situation, if you are China or you're Japan, because they're very aggressive. Putting some great scientists to use just there. I like to build academies. It's a big difference now with that income coming through on 80% with a positive 21 per turn, but the plague now comes through and that is going to affect all of my cities, and that's going to most likely heavily affect the economy in that region. building samurai to cope with the loss of soldiers on top of those cities, but now the plague's gone. I think at this point I don't know why I was interested in circumnavigating the globe, but I decided to give it a go just to get that bonus on the ships, even though it wasn't going to be particularly important to me at all. As if you circumnavigate the globe, I should clarify, your ships get a movement bonus. Also, probably did this in light of the fact that I now could get in contact with the Europeans much more easily and potentially trade some technologies if I was getting behind it all. Focusing on technology buildings now in most of my cities. So you can see libraries and universities going up and observatories. Now I was refusing taking vassals. Probably wouldn't have made much of a difference if I did. There's a great engineer who I've left resting so that I can use him to found corporations later. So I have no interest really in conquering any more territory or settling any more land, just because owning Japan and China really does give me the base that I need. Although, I think I did end up going up and taking Shenyang in the north of China there, the barbarian city, at some point. And at this rate, just building any wonder will get me closer to really being sure of getting to the top of the score in 1930, but that's pretty clearly going to happen by now. Started taking some vassals here. I've taken the Milanese first of all, because taking vassals does increase your score. And at this point I'm finally moving in to take Shenyang. And I agree to take England as a vassal state despite having refused Portugal, and that seems to have put me at a war with France, Portugal and the Vikings. But they're on the other side of the planet, so it's not really going to affect me. Maybe they'll send a few ships at me. More likely I'll just end the war in a few turns. So the city has fallen to me. I still seem to be quite interested at this stage in building up military might. I might have been a little concerned about a potential invasion, probably more likely from the Mongols, but I seem to be powerful enough. There's another great engineer. Still got the great engineer and merchant though, who were originally there. I've moved them into that city on mainland China though, having probably intended to found the corporations in the city that brings in the most income, which at the moment is because it's the Taoist holy city. making peace with France and the Vikings. It's just nice for a bit of security. Here I've worked out some resources to trade for a bit of profit to gain a little more income. Trying to push that research to 100%. Now I've got replaceable parts and I'm getting my workers to build some lumber mills. Just useful for a bit of extra production in those cities, especially later on when you get railroad. And you can further increase production on those lumber mills by building railroads on those tiles. And there, it's past 1650, so now I've achieved the first goal of avoiding any foreign influence on Honshu, and that's happened quite easily, as you can see. No one's come close. And we now have plague coming through the country again. Researching rifling at this point, most likely in the interests of keeping up with the military power of the rest of the world. You can see at this rate Germany and Spain are also researching rifling. Maybe at this stage I was a little worried about the other countries catching up in terms of technology, because even if they're small, they can still get a lot of points on that research. Grabbing radio technology in the interests of building those three wonders. That is the end of part 2 of Japan Civilization 4, Rise and Falls of Civilization.